Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Stilezzi with another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition Cassie game. It's been a while since I've done these, I wanted to get some more of these on the channel since I got some time to cover some I had from a while ago. And I would like to let you know too that we have castings for Wars of Liberty. They're going to be coming up as well. One of our members, Jeff, decided to create a Google Doc where you can actually upload your games so that I can cast them. It's really neat. But again, back to DE, we got ourselves the Hausa here and the Russians against the Russians and the Dutch. So a simple 2 versus 2. It's not a death match. It's just standard supremacy. Before we get started, let's look at the map. We want to see if the map's gonna pose any trouble for the players. Well, the biggest thing you're going to notice about this map is it's pretty wide open, You get a lot of grass here. Sure, you get little ponds here that you can use for walling. And yes, you probably have to run out a little bit far to get the hunts once you get off these initial ones here. But other than that, and the fact that you got Keshwa and Tupi natives here, not much else to talk about. So, let's get into it, shall we? Alright, so Hausa. Hausa is one of those exotic civs in DE, and by that I mean they work in a real special way, just like the Ethiopians do, being another African. They get this fourth resource called influence, and with influence you can do a lot of stuff. You can research special technologies, you can send special units. It's also, if you look at the native site here, you train natives using influence if you're African and not actually food and wood. So that's another reason to get influence. Also, the technologies cost influence too, as you see here. And if I'm understand correctly, Africans, their natives actually shadow text with these upgrades. They don't actually have to research these for influence at all. So it's another little perk of being the Africans. And it'd certainly be great if Hausa decided to capture some of these Tupi and Keshwa natives and add them into their forces. That'd be really, really useful. Also, another thing I want to cover for Africans, I'm not sure I've covered it yet. This is called a livestock market. It's not like a regular market. It combines both a livestock pen and a market together. It has really all of the market technologies except for hunting, which goes to the granary, which I'll talk about next. But anyways, what the livestock market does is you can bring your animals, fatten them up, and you got some options. Obviously, you can eat them like you normally do with other herdables, or you can actually sell your livestock at this market. It has a little button in the UI that lets you sell the livestock for a maximum of about 500 wood or coin. Now, for it to gain that value, you have to wait for the animal to fatten fully. And the more animals you have at the livestock market, the more you're going to be able to sell them off for. Closer to that 500. So, if you can get a bunch of animals around the map, like these llamas, combine them with the starting Sanga cattle that you get at the beginning of the game, you're going to be able to get a lot of free wood and coin out of that. Now, this other building, the granary, think of it like the hunting lodge in Wars of Liberty that lures animals in? Huntables makes them walk towards it, or even the Japanese shrines. Yeah, see how these animals are standing up right against it? It's exactly like a Japanese shrine. It lures animals in. But instead of keeping them there and being totally pescatarian like Japan is, Africans use these lures to make the animals stand closer, so, they'll be within standing distance of arrows that you shoot at them to eat them. Yeah, so if you can get a lot of these granaries up, they're also free. They don't actually cost resources to build. You can actually use these to make these huntables that are normally farther away come closer to you to make hunting a lot easier. And another little perk too, as you see right here, the little ring. The villagers actually gather quicker from the huntables if they're near the granary, so there's another bonus in using them as well. They're going to be aging up with the Hausa. They're going to be aging up as themselves, go figure. And basically what these age ups do for Africans is they give you special technologies. Sometimes they give you a special unit as well. Now, Hausa, they don't have a special unit. Same would be the case if you're Ethiopia and going up with Ethiopia, but certainly if you go with one like the Akan, I think the Yoruba, oh no, I think it's the Oya. Well, I have to review them, I haven't done for a while, but certainly there's a lot of civilizations that you can ally yourself with in your age up, since you don't have normal politicians, you have allies that give you a special unit. And you would basically train those special units most of the time using influence, actually. That's really one of the big reasons for saving up your influence, and there's multiple ways of getting influence. For this civilization, they get it by constructing universities. Basically, these big giant school buildings which house all the special texts you get from these allied age-ups you do, and they also trickle influence, which is another added little bonus. And they have some other benefits as well, like being able to make griots, which is a special unit that gives units an aura, and they have special effects. They can stun units, I think, with one of their drum attacks, so it's kind of an interesting setup for the Hausa. Now, we see the Asia provide them a Hausa builder. This is basically like a traveler. You can put it anywhere you want on the map, and it will make usually a war camp, right, or a palace, or a guard tower, right? Because in the case of the Hausa, they make all their military one building, the war camp. I think that's the case for Ethiopia as well, both the infantry and the cavalry. Here's one of the cavalry right now. This is the Raider. It's basically really good at just attacking villagers, sieging. It's pretty good for a lot of different things. It's also good against skirms and artillery. And now we're going to try to look at some of the other players and see what they're doing. The more vanilla civs that we know a bit more about. Well, looking right here, we got ourselves a forward base in the center map. I see a blockhouse right here. Here comes the infamous unstoppable Streletsy block here of 10. Yeah, they're pretty unstoppable, but not against Cossacks, so you're going to want to be careful with them. Luckily, the Raiders arrived just in time to help out with that. And now we're going to see these little unstoppable Streletsys try to chase back the recruits. The recruits are basically just musketeers, but weaker stats, you know. As you know, Russian infantry before they were the same unit you knew, but they were just cheaper and weaker. To make it more apparent, devs decided to make them into unique units. So instead of halberdiers, you got poluchiks. Instead of musketeers for Russia, you get recruits. So it's a bit easier to differentiate, you know. And people that don't know about the bonus can play them a bit more easily now, understand how they work. So we're going to see a combination of unstoppable Streletsys and Raider cavalry coming in, also some ship Cossacks. And now they are going to try to push in over here. Yeah. Now the Russia I'm viewing now is actually the one over here allied with the Dutch on this side. Dutch so far only have a couple of pikemen. They suddenly got some recruits and some Cossacks, and they're going to try to pick apart this attacking army here. Ah, we got Javelin Riders. Oh, nice. They're actually a shared African unit. It's like a one population dragoon. Similar a bit to like the Zamabarak, if you want to think of it that way, or maybe even the Chinese Kejik. And they're really good at killing heavy cavalry as well as artillery. And yes, that does include actually Lakota rifleers, because I learned that once in Colosseum because of their heavy cavalry tag. But anyways, getting back to the fight here, it looks like this team here is in real trouble. We got a Hausa and we got a Yellow Russia here really sieging away at these Dutch. Now if they lose a bank, like one of these banks gets burned down, they're in really bad trouble. I mean, you can afford to lose the house, you can afford to lose the barracks, but if you lose a bank, you're dead. Like, Purple Russia here really needs to get this out of here, like, right now. What's even Dutch doing right now? Like, what do they got on their deck? See, the only thing they can really do is, like, ship these large Elder Swiss pikemen. That's about it. I mean, they don't have any Hussar shipping, they don't have a pikeman shipping, so they're kind of a sitting duck here if Purple Russia doesn't really pressure them out of here. Now, they are going to go with those Swiss pikemen, And just so you know, large elders, basically what it does is it not only ships the pikemen to you, it actually allows you to train them at the barracks and the tavern going forward. As you know with Dutch, they're a coin-heavy civ. They have lots of banks and trick coin. And with that coin, you can afford mercenaries, you know? It's really one of the best mercenary civs in the game just because of their affordability for this civ. And this card allows you just to make one more mercenary unit. And you could do it at barracks, so you could really build it anywhere on the map at any time. You don't have to keep deconstructing your tavern and sticking it on the front lines. You can actually incorporate the Swiss pikes into your forward bases too, which is great. Oh, nice! Look at the bayonets. Look at the bayonets doing the work here from the recruits. That was really nice. I think they should be good now. And the fact that these Swiss pikemen have arrived tells me that now the yellow and blue up here needs to play a little bit more defensively now, because you can't just run in there with Raider cavalry as Hausa anymore, because Swiss pikemen, as you know, they're really good at killing cavalry units. They got like 19 attack times 5. That's just about almost 100 damage per hit, almost, you know? Just one more attack and that would be 100 damage output against anything with the cavalry tag. I see them sort of signaling around this area because this is going to try to be the area where they're going to attack. I see Tushki saying, you shoot, I protect, I won't lead. So basically the idea is the purple Russia's going to use unstoppable Strelitsis and recruits to shoot them. Red is going to use Swiss pikemen to protect. So if they come in with an army of cavalry again, the Swiss pikemen will rip them apart and allow the range units to do the damage they need to push forward. So we're going to see here if they can successfully do that or not. Right now it seems like they're grouping up on this side, and let's see if they can connect and go over here. Because the problem with attacking a Russian forward base, as you know, is the blockhouse. It combines a barracks and an outpost or a tower, so these buildings actually shoot back at you as you approach them. And as you know, if you have the ability to build 7 of these, which you get the build limit to do, as you see right here, a build limit of 7, well, actually no, I have to pick one of the Russians, this one, yeah. See, build limit of 7. This allows you to put like 7 blockhouses on the front lines, which you can use to create a mega fortress of range attacks that makes it really painful to attack. It's like sticking a porcupine right in front of them, you know, all those quills, all those bullets hitting into you as you're trying to attack it. And what this purple Rush is going to do now is they're going to pick up the Boyar's card, which has been modified to affect the mounted units. In the old days, this used to affect Strelets instead of Cav Archers, but to make the upgrade cards make a bit more sense, the devs decided to swap out the Strelet in the card with the Cav Archers to make it more of a stable upgrade card in Age 2, is that right? Yeah. And right now, we notice all the players are still in Age 2. No one has made a jump to the Fortress Age yet. So it's still going to be a lot of units attacking each other, right? Nobody's holding back to age up just yet. Can they afford an age up is the question. Well, it seems like everybody's missing something resource-wise to age up, so it's going to be a while before we see any sort of Fortress Age like cans or anything, I think. What I find interesting is how's the design to maneuver on this side with the cavalry. Are they going to try to come up south over here and attack? We'll have to wait and see, because I see some vulnerable settlers here that could potentially get sliced and diced, and they have to be careful of that. Are they gonna... Nope. Watch your stuff. This is what happens when you're not looking at the mini-map. You can completely get caught off guard, and this happens. What's even worse is the units, you know, are controlled by a bit of an AI system, right, when they're trying to get around buildings and collisions. And as you see right there, you get a bunch of settlers. They start banging their heads off of walls trying to figure out how to get to the town center, and they end up getting sliced and diced by the Cossacks. not only snaring them, but also slowly killing them. And as you saw right there, that was a lot of casualties. They could have been avoided if you checked the mini-map and you went into the town center a bit sooner. I get it isn't easy. A lot of the times when I'm playing, you know, I'll hear a doo-doo-doo, and then, you know for certain that I'm starting to be attacked. I didn't catch it in time. And then, of course, that's maximum consequence for you. Whenever I can, I try to look at the map to make sure nobody's attacking with cavalry, especially, because that could really hurt. It could really hurt a lot. But now that that little raiding incident is done, I think we're going to start to see an attack on this forward base now. The defending yellow and blue team has the advantage because the blockhouses will provide some range support here. It does about 30 damage per shot, which is pretty good, you know. They also have a bit of a multiplier against cavalry, so they actually do a bit more damage to these Cossacks than they do to the infantry. And now we're starting to see the acceptable Strelitzes take a defensive line, trying to get mixed up in here into the blockhouses. Now, what the Russian infantry are trying to do here is they're trying to stuff themselves into these choke points around the blockhouses. See here how the Cossacks have to struggle to attack the infantry? That's because you got these big, bulky blockhouses here that is causing collisions, preventing them from actually going straight towards the enemy. So one thing you can do in a forward base is take all of your units in the middle of a set of buildings, and hand cavalry become almost useless in large numbers because the collisions caused by these buildings negates the number of cavalry that they deployed. And it's really like you're dealing with 2 or 3 cav units and not like 10 of them, depending on how tightly packed the buildings are. And I think the spaces here are just good enough that you can fit your own units through pretty safely. But right now it looks like we're starting to see a bit of a siege here. We see the Dutch skirmishers combined with the purple team's infantry, as well as some Cossacks coming over here on the side. And now we're going to see if they can try to pick apart this base. Right now it seems like the logical step is to try to siege a bit here. They're trying to siege this blockhouse. This one is a little bit damaged, but it's going to take a while to get rid of these buildings. Once you can rip some of these buildings out, then you can start to attack the units more head-on, and you can make better use of your Cossacks. Right now, Cossacks are not going to work too well. Oh, we see some Fulani. Oh, nice. These Fulani are basically just African long-range archers. Yeah, they get a pretty good range, you know. They shoot pretty much as far as a skirmisher if you upgrade them well. And they get a good rate of fire being an archer too, so really strong. Now, what's really going to be strong here is the fact that these raiding cavalry have connected with the Strelets here. Their multipliers of about 0.5 are going to start to take effect, and they're really going to start burning really badly. Yeah, most of them are destroyed. That is not good. The problem with losing a lot of your Strelets is a block of 10 of them in a blockhouse costs about 375 food. So it really would prevent you from aging up to lose them all. But it looks like because they got a lot of skirmisher support from the Dutch here, they've decided to actually go for the Fortress Age with the Bishop. Now this is an interesting card. It's called Medicine. Villagers train faster and become cheaper. This means that once they hit the Fortress Age, this purple Russia here is probably going to... Oh, that's the yellow Russia, alright. Sometimes when you're always checking this test, just make sure you click on the icon to see who you're focusing on. But anyways, it actually seems like this yellow Russia is probably trying to age up here just so they can use their cannon shipment to hold this position better. Because certainly anything you can put in here that does a lot of damage will prevent you from losing this position. It seems like right now they're starting to run out of units too, because you're starting to see these red skirms starting to gang up on them, also some of the purple Russian units. Also the house is aging up too, so they're going up with the Fulani. And that's actually pretty significant because one of the technologies that the Fulani provide is actually giving more range to these archers. And I believe it also allows them to gather resources too, which is another little side bonus. I'm not sure that they're going to use that one, but certainly they could use the extra range, I think, to dish out some damage defensively here against his infantry. And right now, it seems like the blockhouses are starting to come down. They might lose this position, and if that's the case, they're in a lot more trouble because now they have to defend in their actual homes. And this allows the red and the purple team to actually start constructing a forward base and start moving forward. Yeah, pretty much. And if we look at the deck right here for the Hausa, we actually see a lot of upgrade cards. So defending in Age 3 is going to be a little bit questionable for them. I mean, they could ship the Javelin Riders for sure, but if they need units in a pinch, it's not going to be that great. You see the upgrade for counter-cavalry tactics, you see Fulani archer combat, so they're thinking of a lot of late game. Which, you know, I love late game, but when you're defending, it's not the best to not have a lot of unit shipments. As for their ally, the, which one is this? The yellow Russians? Oh, that's the purple Russians here. How about the other Russians here? What they got for there? So they got the medicine card they already sent, so they're going to boom up pretty quickly. They actually get a covered wagon as well. This will actually grant them a town center, which enables them another queue of settlers that they can send upon. And as you know, with Russians, they train their settlers in blocks of 3, which means it's not a lot of maintenance to start booming, actually, because as long as you have the food, you can queue up like 3 or 4 blocks of these and already have most of your settlers already planned out. And that allows you to focus more on your units, like, say, Unstoppable Steletsy. You could obviously ship in the Falconets, which you see right here. This is one of the better cards to go up with as the Russians, because it packs a lot of power compared to your other units. Also, another powerful card you usually have as the Russians is heavy cannons in Age 4, or even the Tsar cannons, which are basically just great bombards that the Russians can ship in. So, you get options. It doesn't seem like this Russia put them in their deck, but they certainly could have done that to go for a fast industrial. Seems like right now, though, their biggest job, though, is going to be defending. Defending is going to be a big priority here. We also see the purple Russia starting to age up, too, to catch up. How about the Dutch? Oh, wow. Oh, yeah. That reminds me. This is something very important to keep in mind for Africans. Now, one of the lesser-known things that you could do with the Africans is they have a technology at their palace that actually lets you train some of the standard European artillery units from your palace for influence. And basically, you can purchase a Falconet for about 500 influence. And because Hausa has been banking up influence for a very long time now, and they've been trickling some additional out of this university, this means that they can actually afford 2 more Falconets beyond these, making them a real artillery powerhouse right now. I need 2 more. Yeah, you gotta make something to deal with these Falcons, because if not, you're gonna start losing ground again. Back. Yeah, go back. Run for your lives. Run for your lives. You're not gonna survive this very well if you stay here. You need to get out of here, like, right now. Send you coin. Make cannon cab ASAP. Like, maybe Kozak Kovrin, perhaps? A couple of well-aimed Kovrin shots could deal with these Falcons in a pinch. That's probably what I would do. Let's see if that's what they actually do, though. Which one is this? Is this the... Yep, Purple Russia. Let's see if they put an artillery foundry up somewhere and make some calls. They could also make their own Falcons, but they'd have to be careful to aim them properly, and they'd be a bit dicier to use. But Culverins would definitely be a safe way of taking... Yep, they're trying to make the Culvs right now, so you see them right out of this foundry right here. Culverins, they are anti-cannons. They are good at countering other artillery. They have longer range than the other cannons do, and they have multipliers against them. So if you can get a good batch of Culverins to go up against these Falcons, you're gonna basically punish Hausa for spending all their influence, which would be kind of detrimental to them. You also start to see the Hausa construct some of their fields. These are basically the African farms. They work a bit like rice paddies, but they're smaller scale. You can switch them to gather food or coin, and you can configure which one it is, basically, whenever you need it. And as you see right here, they're also pretty cheap compared to a rice paddy. They also have a limited number of gatherers, only about 3. So what you normally try to do is you try to build some granaries around these as well, since granaries also improve the gather rate at these fields. And that's what I try to do. Let's see if they actually put some granaries down up here to actually boost up the gather rate a bit of those. That'd be pretty helpful. Also, if I remember correctly, Hausa actually has this card too, Koos. What Koos does is, acts as like a mini upgrade card for the field's food gather rate, but it also gives you a sum of food right to your inventory based on how many fields are present on the map. So if they could get a lot of these fields up, they could actually get a nice kick in food that they need to start making stuff. You need more Cossack. So, what do they got right now up here? Javelin Riders. So, yeah, they got Javelin Riders, they got an army of Strelets here, so, yeah, this team's going to need some sort of hand cavalry to deal with the Strelets and the cannons effectively. I mean, the Culverins can definitely deal with the Falks, but they can't deal with the massive infantry or range cavalry, so they're going to need something a bit different too. Now we're starting to see the yellow and blue team start to wall up. They're starting to fortify. They're going to try to make it harder for the enemy to come in, or at least give themselves a bit of a warning of when they're starting to assault at. So what we see on this side, we see veteran Cossacks, we see veteran Strelets, we see Culverins. This is going to be good against light cav, good against skirms, and good against artillery, this combination. And now we see the red Dutch skirmishers join in as well. This should be a pretty interesting matchup here. Let's see what these guys can do. If they can use their Falks really well and keep them out of the range of the Culverins, I think they're probably going to win this battle. But if they throw them too much in the front lines and let the Culvs snipe them, they're going to have a real problem on their hands. I don't know if they can come back from it. Well, actually what we see here is we see the Hausa aging up with an alliance to the Moroccans, which is going to grant them some pretty good improvements. Yep, and see right here, you actually shadow upgrade as Africans as well, so they actually got upgraded to field guns, making them age 4 cannons, which is really going to be good for them, because they can use that extra HP and damage to survive longer against the Culverins. Now let's see if these Culverins can do what they have to do to push their way in here. Now, as you can see, purple and red are moving in at this direction, sort of choked at this point right here. If their infantry gets stuck together, that gives the Falconets a lot more potential to deal hardcore splash damage against these units, and let their multipliers really start to shine. But of course, by pushing in to take advantage of that, you're at the risk of getting hit by these Culverins, which also have a bit of multipliers against buildings, so they're pretty decent at sieging long term as well. So let's see how this battle turns out. This is going to be really important. Right now the Falks are starting to get some advantages on this side with their volleys. Culverins are going to move their way in this direction because that's where they see the cannonballs coming from, and they're going to want to intercept that. Yeah, we see Hausa moving them back though. They want to play it safe. They really don't want to lose these cannons for nothing since they are pretty expensive. You know, influence is a harder resource to get than coin or wood is. And they could make 2 more right now, but oh no, they just lost 2 of them. Oh, that's not good. What's kind of cool is you got the Hausa that actually made their own Culverin, so they're actually countering their anti-artillery with his own anti-artillery, and that is going to allow these Falcons to maybe survive a bit long. Oh no, no. Yeah, one hit. Okay, so can this Hausa take out the other Culverin though? That would be pretty helpful if they could. So they're going to try to back it up. Now I'm imagining they're going to try... Yep. Oh, nice, nice. That's good. Because if this Hausa wants to make more Falks, they definitely can now. What did they get, though? Durbar Parade. Lafidi Knights and Raiders ride faster in their attacks now inflict area damage. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. Crop rotation, that's an upgrade for the farms up here. By the way, farming upgrades of any kind, whether it's food or coin, comes from the granary. So you actually have to use this building to do it. Also where the hunting upgrades are. Just so you're aware where the upgrades are if you're ever wondering, like, hey, I want my resource garden to be a bit better, where do I go? Don't look at the building itself in the market, you actually have to get those in the ground. Now, this is a really good cavalry charge by Hausa. The raiding cavalry coming in at just the right time here to hit these skirmishers and unstoppable strelets off guard. Look at that. These unstoppable streletsies no longer feel unstoppable when the raiders come. And there's not enough riders and Cossacks to defend them accurately. We do see the Cossacks starting to arrive now, though, in greater number to try to negate this threat. Stop the bleeding, if you will. And is it going to be enough? I don't even think that's... No, that's not enough either. They're going to take even more hits here, even more casualties. What are these? These are... Oh, the Red Lancers. Ah, yes. One of the royal decree texts for the Dutch at their church. Looks like Dutch have sent their royal decree out. Because the Dutch royal decree, if you look at it right here, is one of the better ones. This one here. Religious freedom. It has one of the most important technologies for the Dutch to have access to, which actually increases their build limit by about 2, their banks, so their economy becomes really good. Another royal decree they get here actually gives you access to the Red Lancers, which are basically just stradiates that gain a multiplier against skirmishes. So yeah, they get access to yet another mercenary they can start to train at their tavern. And this makes the Dutch even better with their mercenaries, since they get the Swiss pikemen from the card, and then they get the stradiates with the added bonus from the royal decree technology. Ah, so the Dutch are going to go with Gatling camels. A very powerful machine gun unit that also has the light cavalry tag, so if you're not careful, these strelets can actually deal multipliers against these Gatling camels, so they have to be careful with these things. They have to be. Right now, though, it looks like the Yellow Russian is doing a pretty good job defending here. They were able to make full use of those skirms. Oh no, but now we got Gatling camels in the back. Oh no, look at them getting sprayed by those things. These things are deadly. Deadly to deal with. You gotta be careful with these things. Yeah, you can take them down easily if you're careful, but if you're not careful, they will take you down. As we see them right now, we see Fulani archers and strelets trying to be used to snipe these things, but just not enough of them to deal with them. And now the Gatling camels are inflicting way too much pain on them. Way too much pain. How much resources do they get? So House is actually completely starved right now. And they're even getting raided by pikemen? Raided by pikemen. And they're actually working. Are they working? Is he gonna get... Oh, yeah, they actually got casualties with pikemen. What a day this is. Raiding with pikemen. And succeeding. Well, I guess you can raid with anything at this point. Guess you really can. What are they gonna train, though, the Hausa? So they're just going to make a lot of raiding cavalry, it looks like, just to deal with this massive skirms that they're dealing with, because they don't have any sort of anti-cav here at all. So these raiding cavalry are actually going to do really well. They're going to do a lot of damage. They're probably going to eat up this entire army of skirmishers if you leave them alone to do it. And now you see houses starting to get coups, because now their food is starting to fall behind, and now they need coups to get their food inventory up a bit. You need rider, dude. Yes, you do. You need to get some riders up. You need to get some riders up. Got Swiss pikes. That's another option, and arguably a better option in this case, because the Swiss pikes can actually siege. You know, they can actually take down these buildings quite easily. Whereas the dragoons would be better if you were, say, dealing with cannons. We don't see any more cannons from the house, though, because their influence is completely down right now. How many... Yeah, see, if you're in this situation, maybe as Hausa you consider building some more universities to get your influence to trickle up a bit. That's one option. Now, this is cool. We actually see the Dutch putting some caravels into this little pond right here. One of the lesser things you see people do in games with little bodies of water is you can actually put ships in them to defend areas easier. Yeah. And in Wars of Liberty, of course, you can train naval infantry from these types of ships as well, which unfortunately can't do here, but even then, having a ship on water with its crush damage from its range and broadside attacks is really good for defending an area just as good as a tower is. And it's even better because towers, as you know, only have a build limit of about 7. Well, I don't see it right here, but this would be a build limit of about 7. So another way you can add defenses is, of course, building forts and building ships, which also have crush damage, just like forts do. And also the furtherly upgraded outposts once you get to age 4. Now what we see here from Dutch is heavy cannons. Heavy cannons, they're a very powerful piece of artillery. They get a lot of splash, they do a lot of damage, and they get multipliers against ships, buildings, and infantry. It's the most powerful cannon you can get. Let's look at the Dutch right now. Are they actually starting to, trying to see here. Oh yeah, so they're actually starting to use their factories to make the heavy cannons. And this is one option you have when you have factories. If you feel like you can do well enough with your resources, you can just use them to make heavy cannons. And in particular for Dutch, since they have banks which trickle coin, they probably feel confident enough with their economy, as you can see right here, that they can actually afford to send some heavy cannons out with their factories. Unfortunately, they're going to be caught out in the area here where the raiding cavalry are. Are they going to survive, though, is the question. Well, I think the Swiss pikemen will save at least one of them. No. Oh, yeah. Oh no, that one went down. This one survived barely, though. And then the other one's arriving from the factory. Now, this is a dangerous situation for yellow and blue. If they can sustain heavy cannons with Swiss pikemen, that alone could end up being fatality for them. Because one thing you can do with hand infantry like the Swiss pikemen, put them into cover mode. And cover mode gives you 50% pierce armor, 50% crush armor. And no matter how many of these Famali archers and strelets you have, sticking these Swiss pikes into cover mode would stall them out enough to let these heavy cannons deal damage to the skirmisher units behind them. You know, it's like a pike and shot formation. Instead of like gunmen who use an actual cannons that the phalanx of the Swiss pikes would protect. Not only against cav, but with its heightened armor against range attacks. Unfortunately, though, purple, well, that's actually allied, so that's helpful. They got some cav archers, they got some Oprishniks. Oprishniks are the 3rd Russian cavalry. They have siege, they also have multipliers against artillery, siege units, and villagers. So they're actually great at raiding positions that are undefended. And you could actually use them to snipe factories as well, which is another little added bonus of them. Does this Yellow Russia have any factories yet? That's the question. Because as we see right here, it looks like Dutch is just going to spam Swiss pikemen and use the heavy cannons from their factory to support them. Oh no, but they let them expose though. Yeah, that's a problem. You should always leave a couple behind. No, you're gonna lose the cannon. No, you just lost your chance to push it forward now. Great. Oh, yep. Luckily you got Purple Russia here though, pushing a little bit, and then you got, of course, got the caravels in the water here, which is also gonna make it hard for them to push out. But leaving your heavy cannons exposed is gonna give this enemy team a little bit more time to defend themselves than you probably wanted. Strelets trying to focus on the cav archers, which have now been upgraded to the Dvorianins, which is their Royal Guard upgrade. And now we're going to start to see these Strelets going Oh, it's basically Unstoppable Streletsy trying to shoot Unstoppable Streletsy, making it an unstoppable match. Yeah, so Unstoppable Streletsy chasing Unstoppable Streletsy away, and Unstoppable Streletsy is going back to his base to wait for more allies to make him Unstoppable Streletsy once again. Yeah. A big tongue twister, I know, but it's basically the language of using Strelets. I think at this point, if the purple and red have won this, I'm almost certain of it, because I don't really see from the resource count either Yellow Russia and them getting the resources to deal with this. If you're Yellow Russia right now, what you probably want to get is actually mortars. Like, get a couple of howitzers and start hitting these ships with them. But it does seem like Unstoppable Streletsy being as unstoppable as he is actually shooting at the ship himself. And maybe Unstoppable Streletsy can truly be unstoppable and take out the caravels without any artillery. Oh no, now they got a flight. Yeah, that's going to be kind of impossible. As you know, with flights, they have even more Pierce armor and they have more HP. So this is really going to be impossible to deal with. Another thing that the flight can do is it can actually train military units. It can train halberdiers, hussars, all the Dutch Russian units, so it becomes a really painful thing to deal with now. Because now you've got this big floating stable and barracks right on your shoreline now, ready to attack you. Now it's deathmatch. It almost looks like deathmatch, you know? At the beginning it looked like a legit rush by one player on the other. Now it's starting to look like that big giant acquisition of resources and spamming, just like in DM. This game is deathmatch now. Yeah, he gets the joke. He gets the joke pretty well. Yeah, now it's slowly turned into deathmatch. And just like a deathmatch, your enemies are starving right now when they're literally holding on for dear life. It looks like the Hausa actually were the ones to get the mortars going. So that buys them a bit more time here, because that's going to take care of those ships. And now they can try to focus on blasting apart these walls. I'm going to be watching the resources real carefully here, though. Russia is basically broke over here. They have no money at all, so they can't actually train any cavalry. They literally just have to stick to Unstoppable Streletzys if they want to survive. And they're starting to get their own heavy cannons, too, from their factory. So we're going to see a bit of a resistance here by the Yellow Russians starting to blast apart their Strelets with their cannons. How much time would it take to get another factory down? Looks like they already sent the other factory, it looks like. Where is it, though? Where did it go? Where's the factory? Where is the factory? Oh, it's up here, alright. So that's actually trickling a bit of coin for him since they need it really badly. Alright, now we start to see the Red Dutch start to get some horse artillery, get some skirms. Musket. So yeah, the thing is, the one thing Dutch don't have off the bat is actually musketeers. They can ship in the Blue Guards card and be able to make musketeers for forts, but they don't have that card in their deck, so that's not happening, folks. They're not getting musketeers this game. You need the Russians to make their recruits for that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point it's going to come down to these Dutch artillery that's going to allow them to push their way in. You know, I think that this Dutch artillery here is probably going to be the thing that's going to win there. Especially these mortars, which are going to be able to hit these blockhouses from long range and remove their effectiveness of defending. And then, of course, you got this big mass of skirms right here protecting them. In a sense, having this much skirms on the field is actually an advantage, because you know the Hausa player is struggling for resources all the time. The point is especially suffering. And they're actually starting to get more upgrade cards now to deal with that. You see Fulani Cow Fertilizer coming in. So they're really starting to think about getting their resource count up. And they might want to send Team Indigo Die as well, because that also affects the coin gather rate from the fields. Do they have any See, this is a problem too for Hausa. They don't have any granaries around these fields. That would actually improve their gather rate. Be like a little bit of an added perk, which would allow them to get just enough coin to make enough raiding capital to stir the skirms. But because they don't have enough coin, this actually means that the Russia-Dutch combo of skirms right here is enough to actually manage the cavalry that they have right now. They're still doing good though. I mean, I see some of the cav connecting in and slicing apart some of the cannons here, but just not enough. It's not enough. If they could like double that cavalry production, maybe they could push their way in. Because they don't have a whole lot of the riders. I mean, they got a couple of them, but not enough to be a game changer. Also, their food is starting to get dipped a bit as well. All they can really do with their influence this point is train a Cobran. Try to use it as effectively as possible. First, probably targeting these horse artillery. Maybe they could take out one of their mortars if they hit it at the right angle. This is pure solid cannon fire. Yes, it is. You got just about every cannon in your arsenal except for the falconets firing at it. It's a true army of artillery. It truly is. They even got pet cougars. Buttercup the pet cougar. So now we're starting to see Tupi native sites be utilized, it looks like. Also the Keshwa one right over here. Are we going to see any of the Keshwa Kiwamikas come out? They have a really good siege, you know, they're really good spearmen. Oh, looks like Dutch sent their royal decree that gives them access to some of the blue guards. Well, I did say that they have a card that lets them train these at forts. They do actually get a shipment of them they can get from the royal decree technologies at the church. Right? One is the Red Lance and the other is the Blue Guard. And it's related to the one from Vanilla, which used to be called the Stadthalter. Now they're the Blue Guard. And now we're going to start to see the picking apart of these walls and the fatality of the yellow Russian player, it looks like. I don't see them defending this. I really don't. Because, like, let's look at them. Oh, they actually have pretty fair resources, but they don't have any production billings. They don't have any... They can make some stuff out of this fort. Do they have the fencing, the upgrade at the church and the training? They could actually never mind. Yeah, and then Dutch casually revolts into South Africa too. That's funny. 2 bank wagons, ships 2 bank wagons. Adds bank bill limit? I gotta check that out. That looks pretty good economically.
Yeah.
I've never really done the South African revolt before. Maybe it would be a bit of a neat side quest for me to try that. You know, that could be pretty fun. And now we're starting to see the house to get ripped apart here. Some of those Fulani Knights mixed in with the Raiders. The Fulani Knights, in contrast, have a lot more hit points. They really are nice in the traditional sense. They're supposed to be super tanks. But are they going to be able to defend this, though? I don't think so. Here comes the truck wagons. Wonderful truck wagons. I've only heard about these. I've never quite seen them before in use. What do they do exactly? Do you put like villagers in them? Yeah, I guess you put villagers in them to make them stronger or something. I wonder what they're going to be used for here. They sort of appear to be a team. I bet you could probably tank with those things. Yeah, probably could tank with them. That'd be my guess. Alright, now they're going to start to siege on the town center over here, and then it looks like it's nighty-night for them. Nighty-night. Alright, GG. That was a good one, you know, that was a lengthy one too, it was like 47 minutes. Good job, Dutch and Purple Russians. Yellow Russia unfortunately did not make it. But anyways, this was a great show of how you can defend a rush, slowly build up and then do a major counterattack with your own tactics. You know, it shows you why you need to think about late game as much as early game in Standard Supremacy. Resource-wise, looking at the post-game, you can see here Dutch, lots of resources. Purple, also lots of resources. Both players coming in with more resources than their enemy counterparts. Hausa was the most struggling here, you can see. How about military? Look at Dutch. Look at this kill count. This is the result of using high-value units like Swiss pikemen and cannons. They didn't even need that much of a unit count. The unit count was actually the smallest. And compare that to like the Hausa, which got nowhere near the same amount of kills. So just shows you, you know, if you make lots of high value units and you can defend them with an ally that can make a lot of spammable units, that can be a great strategy. I hope you enjoyed this Casa game. I'm going to be doing some more today. I think I got maybe 3 more Casa D games to do, so look forward to those being uploaded together. See you next time. Signing off now from this one. See the next one coming soon.